U.S. President Donald Trump made headlines by placing tariffs, essentially taxes, on products imported from countries like China, Mexico, and Canada.
Thank you. So, if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge.
His main argument is that these tariffs will help bring back American jobs, boost the country's manufacturing industry, reduce the trade deficit, the gap between what the U.S. buys from other countries and what it sells to them, increase government revenue, and support U.S. domestic companies. However, these tariffs have not been welcomed by everyone. Instead, they have sparked a lot of debate and even led to trade wars between the U.S. and its trading partners.
Has announced it will impose a 34% tariff on imports of all U.S. products as a countermeasure to the tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. The Finance Ministry said it would impose the tariffs from April the 10th. The Commerce Ministry in Beijing also said it will impose more export controls on rare earths, which are materials used in high-tech products such as computer chips and electric vehicle batteries.
So, what exactly is a tariff? And why do tariffs cause so much discussion and disagreement? A tariff is basically a tax that a government charges on goods coming into a country from abroad. Imagine you want to buy an electric vehicle that's made in China. If there's a tariff on that EV, the US government adds an extra fee to its price before it reaches customers in America. This means the Chinese EV will cost more than it normally would. To understand this better, picture two electric vehicles side by side in the US market, one made in America and one made in China. If the government puts a tariff on the Chinese EV, it becomes more expensive compared to the American one. Because of this price difference, buyers might be more likely to choose the US-made EV, helping the local car manufacturers stay competitive. There are mainly two types of tariffs. Specific tariffs. This is a fixed amount charged on each imported item. For example, the government might add an extra $3 tax on every electric car battery imported. It doesn't matter if the battery costs $10 or $100, the tariff stays the same. Ad valorem tariffs. This tariff is based on the value or price of the imported product. For example, a 20% tariff means if the EV costs $30,000, then $6,000 will be added as a tariff. Tariffs can sometimes be very high, sometimes as much as 100% or 200%. That means the price of the imported product can double, or even triple, making it much less attractive to buyers. Besides tariffs, countries use other ways to protect their local industries. These are called non-tariff barriers. For example, they might limit how many products can be imported, called quotas, or create strict rules and standards that make it hard for foreign goods to enter the market. All of these tools are designed to give domestic companies a better chance to compete and keep jobs within the country. Tariffs have both advantages and disadvantages that affect different parts of the economy in various ways. One of the main benefits of tariffs is that they help protect domestic jobs and industries. When tariffs make imported goods more expensive, people may choose to buy products made in their own country instead. This can help local factories and businesses stay open and preserve jobs for workers at home. Another advantage of tariffs is that they generate revenue for the government. Tariffs work like a tax on imported goods, so when companies bring products from other countries into the US, they have to pay this tax. The money collected from tariffs adds to the government's income, which can be used to fund important public services such as schools, roads, and healthcare. Tariffs can also serve as a tool in trade negotiations. By imposing tariffs on certain goods, a country can encourage other nations to reduce their own trade barriers, helping create fairer trade agreements. Additionally, higher costs on imports caused by tariffs can persuade companies to move their factories back to the home country, a process known as reshoring. This can boost local manufacturing and create more jobs domestically. On the other hand, tariffs have some downsides. One major disadvantage is that they can lead to higher prices for consumers. When importers face extra tariffs, they often pass those costs on to customers, which means shoppers may pay more for everyday items such as clothes, electronics, or food that are imported. This can make living costs higher for many people. Tariffs can also increase costs for businesses that rely on imported parts or raw materials. Many American companies use materials from other countries to produce their goods. If tariffs raise the price of these imports, it becomes more expensive to make their products. This can reduce profits or force companies to raise prices, which might make their products less competitive. Finally, tariffs can strain international relations and lead to trade wars. When one country imposes tariffs, other countries often respond by placing their own tariffs on goods from the first country. This retaliation can start a cycle of trade conflicts that harm businesses on both sides and make international trade more difficult. Let's look at a simple story to understand how tariffs work in real life. Imagine a US bakery called Bread Holando that sells bread across America. Now, a bread company from China wants to compete in the US market by selling its bread too. But the US government puts a tariff on Chinese bread that doubles its price in America. At first, this seems good for Bread Holando because it faces less competition and can sell more bread. However, after a while, things start to change. Without strong competition, Bread Holando may become less motivated to keep prices low or maintain high quality, which isn't good for customers. Meanwhile, China's bread company begins to lose money because its bread is too expensive to sell in the US. This might force the Chinese company to stop exporting bread to America. There's another twist. Bread Holando relies on some ingredients imported from China. Because of tariffs, these ingredients now cost more, making it more expensive for Bread Holando to bake bread. On top of this, China might respond by placing tariffs on American goods, which hurts other US businesses trying to sell products abroad. In the end, consumers face higher prices and fewer choices. Both countries' economies can slow down because trade becomes more difficult. This story shows how tariffs often have unintended effects and can sometimes hurt even the industries they were supposed to protect. Looking at the real world, tariffs have worked well in some cases but failed in others. For example, South Korea's car industry, with brands like Hyundai and Kia, once benefited from tariff protections. These tariffs gave local companies time to grow stronger and improve their products. Eventually, South Korean cars became competitive on the global market without the need for high tariffs. On the other hand, Venezuela tried using heavy tariffs to protect its local industries under leaders like Chavez and Maduro. Instead of helping, these tariffs contributed to serious economic problems. They caused shortages of goods, made products more expensive, and played a part in the country's economic collapse. This example shows that tariffs do not always lead to positive results, and can sometimes make things worse. Tariffs are a double-edged sword. On one hand, they can protect local businesses and bring in government revenue. On the other hand, they often lead to higher prices for consumers, reduce efficiency, and cause tensions between trading countries. Most economists agree that in large, connected economies like the US, tariffs usually do more harm than good by raising costs, limiting trade, and slowing down economic growth. In short, while tariffs might seem like an easy solution to bring back jobs or lower trade deficits, their real effects are often more complicated and can cause problems in the long run. Thanks so much for watching until the end. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next video. With that, this is Visionomics, signing out.